And we're back with another betting preview on The Mandatory. Remember, if you like the content that we're putting out, make sure to follow us on our social media platforms. Really easy. It's just at The Mandatory TKO. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And if you have already, then we do appreciate you rocking with us. Bryan, we got a heavyweight battle coming up, but you said you wanted to ask me a question to see if I was excited about something.
Do you care about Jake Paul and Nate Diaz?
No. I don't. I don't. I would rather see a rematch with him and Tommy Fury.
Did you see what Tommy Fury apparently posted?
No, what did he say?
The face-off with Liam from One Direction.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I don't remember his name. Liam, whatever. One of them One Direction dudes. That tells you how much I listen to them. Yeah,
I don't even know who you're talking about. So.
Oh, really? And this,
no, I have no idea.
I only know about Liam because when I was going to high school, all the girls were like fiending over these One Direction dudes, and I remember the name Liam being a thing.
I was well into my 20s at that time. So
well, we're not giving away our ages here. Nate Diaz is fighting Jake Paul in August, and Tommy Fury and this Liam dude from One Direction, who I'm totally sideswiping because I don't really know his last name. They're teasing something for Thursday. So at the time this is being listened to, it's probably already out. But yeah, Jake Paul's fighting Nate Diaz in a boxing match in August. And Nate Diaz said Jake Paul is the second biggest name in the sport after Canelo Alvarez. And Nate Diaz called himself the king of combat sports. So he wants to sort of put an end to this whole Jake Paul thing, I suppose.
Well, and I don't really care. I mean, I will probably watch it. I will probably watch it just because it's a fight and there's going to be a lot of hoopla around it. And Nate Diaz's last fight, he beat Tony Ferguson, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember, honestly. Nate Diaz hasn't had like a memorable fight in a minute. Just the fact that like Nate Diaz is fighting is enough for a lot of people. But like I have no interest. The boxing match, by the way, is going to be contested at, and I did the thing again where I'm about to make a point, then I make another point. I'm working on it. The boxing match is going to be at 185 pounds on August 5th in Dallas. Nate Diaz has fought fights in UFC at like 145 and also 170 and also 155. 185 pounds against Jake Paul, who's bigger. Like, I'm not even going to analyze the fight, but like, come on, man. That's stupid. Yeah. I'll watch it, though. I'll probably watch it.
I mean, I'm going to watch it, but let's get to a fight that we're actually going to analyze and give you some bets on.
Like money, motherfucker? Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
All right, we got a heavyweight battle coming up. Finally, back in the ring, Joe Joyce, who is a minus 1,100 against Zhilei Zhang at plus 600. Those odds from FanDuel. Bryan, who are you rolling with in this fight? And break it down for me.
So this is going to be a heavyweight slugfest, right? Like this is going to be just sort of a classic heavyweight slugfest. Look, Joe Joyce is obviously the name here, and a lot of people are pushing him. He is currently the interim WBO heavyweight champion. The full world title is being held by Alexander Usyk, who has 3 of the 4 major heavyweight titles at this point. Tyson Fury has WBC, and then Daniel Dubois is WBA regular, blah 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 blah. Like it'll get all confusing, and our casual fans will start leaving because they're gonna like, what are all these alphabets? What do they mean? Whatever. Look, we're trying to keep you here, right? Ultimately, as far as the betting perspective of this, yeah, Joe Joyce is really good. He's nicknamed the Juggernaut. He's also 37, which I think is not irrelevant here as we sort of go throughout his career, and he's seen as an ascending fighter. He's almost in his 40s, so he's kind of got to get it now, and he's pursuing bigger and bigger fights. 15-0 with 14 knockouts. Very, very, very impressive performance last time out against Joseph Parker Shantelle. Yeah. We were texting about this as it was happening. This was in September. Extremely impressive. Knocked out Joseph Parker, who is not a chump heavyweight at all, is a former champion, and put him down and out in the 11th round. I thought it could have been stopped before that. It was a dominant performance, and it got me really excited to watch Joe Joyce again. Before that, he had notable knockout wins against Carlos Takam, also Daniel Dubois, gave Daniel Dubois his first loss, and also beat Brian Jennings, who I thought was going to be really good at one point. But Zhilei Zhang, who you mentioned, His last fight out was August of last year. We were just talking about this. I want you to get into it more. Filip Hrgović, who was undefeated going into that fight, as was Zhang, only has the one draw with Jerry Forrest. They fought on the undercard of Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua the second time around. And this was in, I believe, Saudi Arabia, August 20th of last year. Zhang lost a unanimous decision and a controversial one that we both think he kind of got robbed, don't we, Shantelle?
Yeah, he definitely got robbed in broad daylight. I thought if at worst it could have been a draw, but I think Zhang got robbed in that one. So that was his first loss. Keep in mind, Zhang is 39 years old and he's had a lot of health issues. But at the same time, he has real power. He's a southpaw, Olympic silver medalist back in 2008. Power in both of his hands. Like I've seen him knock out dudes with his left and with his right. And he is coming off that loss, but that is essentially his first loss. But because I don't actually think that he lost and he got robbed, I'm saying that he doesn't even have a loss. That was a mistake made. He got robbed in pure daylight. You also mentioned Joyce and how he had a very impressive performance against Joseph Parker. He was the first guy to ever stop Joseph Parker. Parker also known for being the first guy to take Anthony Joshua into deep waters. Joyce has power. He likes to come forward. He likes to press. He uses his size well. And when you look at him fight, you're not like, man, he has like this crazy speed, because he's not. He's kind of like slow footed, but at the same time, he comes forward. He throws good combos and he's really, really aggressive. The one thing I love about Joyce is I think you could argue that he has the best jab in the heavyweight division. He has one of the best jabs, and he's only 2 years younger than Zhang, which means, like, as Bryan was saying, he's got to go and get it at this point. But he has a nasty left hook, and he's on a 5-fight TKO streak. I believe he has the highest knockout percentage in the heavyweight division, because 15 wins, 14 by knockout. So this dude is an
other than
absolute
Deontay
beast.
Wilder, I think maybe.
I believe Joyce might be. I mean, Wilder has more fights.
Yeah.
So if you do it like that,
it's a bit. So it's on that level is the point.
Yeah.
And also both guys 6'6". Joyce, I think, is going to have a reach advantage. He has an 80-inch reach.
Yeah.
And Zhang is a southpaw, which is going to be an interesting look. So your point about Joyce having the best jab in the heavyweight division, would you say, and he also has power in both hands?
Yeah.
But would you say that he is going to have an advantage here boxing more against Zhang and actually adding some movement, or should he just like go full force brawl? And as we're going to get to betting wise, the over under for rounds as of this recording is just 8 or 8.5. It's around that territory. Maybe it goes down to 7.5. They're not expecting a very long fight here because the action is actually under.
Yeah.
Like, do you think he should actually modify his strategy, or should he just go balls to the wall and actually try to run through his opponent here? Good luck, good win. We'll see you again in the summer.
I think it's more about Zhang being slept on, because I look at the odds and automatically they're like, Joyce is going to win this fight. He's at minus 1100. What did you say the over under was for rounds? 4.5?
No, 8.5.
8.5. Okay. So it's kind of interesting, because I think a lot has to do with Zhang in this fight starting off early and getting off to a really good start, because he has to, because he fades later in the fight. Right. I think Joyce is going to do what he normally does. He's going to come forward. He's going to press. He's going to use his jab, establish it. The one thing that I want to go back to, though, is I remember when Joyce fought Christian Hammer, and Hammer was landing some like big, massive shots on him, and he took it on his chin. But Zhang's got way more power than Hammer. And I think you could even say that Zhang's got more of a devastating power than Christian Hammer obviously does. So Joyce in this fight has to actually be really, really careful, because if Zhang lands on him, there's a possibility that he could get shook in this fight. So I think Joyce just has to stick with his game plan and do what he does. He's not going to be crazy quick on the feet. Establish the jab, move around the ring, come forward, press Zhang, but at the same time, try to protect himself. And I think Zhang is going to come full throttle and try to get this going in the first 6 rounds. To be honest with you, I took a look at the odds, and if you go with Joyce on the money line, there's not much value there. But for me,
right.
there's not much value there, right? And you want to go for value. And then I take a look at Zhang, 39 years old, but also went the distance with Hrgovic, where he won that fight, in my opinion. And I know Joyce has this power, but I think people are sleeping on Zhang. So I'm actually going to take Joyce to win on decision at plus 440. I think the fight goes the distance because Zhang has never been stopped before. So why do I think it's going to happen now? I think people are actually sleeping on him, and I think he's going to have some big moments in this fight. So I'm going to take the plus 440. What about you, Bryan? Are you expecting a knockout? And is he going to be the first guy to ever stop Zhang?
It's tough because here's the thing, and we should actually point this out because you don't brag enough. So I'll do it for you.
Me?
The Anthony Joshua fight, you took Anthony Joshua to win by decision, which was like plus 500. And this was a fight that pretty much everyone thought Anthony Joshua would get some sort of stoppage against Jermaine Franklin. A lot of people thought it would be early. I didn't think that was going to be the case. My bet was over 7.5 rounds because I thought if Jermaine Franklin would hang around, if Jermaine Franklin would be in the fight, he was going to at least hang around, and he did for all 12 rounds. So you have a good track record on on picking fights to go to decision that aren't supposed to, quite frankly, because if you're looking at the sports books for this, and I'm looking,
no, they don't think it's going to go the distance. They think it's going to be a knockout. And don't get it twisted.
Joyce is minus 330 to win by knockout and plus 380 to win by decision. Oof.
Like Zhang isn't a slouch. Like it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that people like the odds are like that. Like Vegas is trying to trick us, and I'm not falling for it. Vegas, you know what I mean? Like I've seen Zhang fight before, and he fought very well against Hrgovic, got robbed in broad daylight. And when we do the robberies of broad daylight in boxing, that's going to be on my list.
But these are older heavyweights, right? And here's the thing: there's a few different things because I actually been thinking about for a while how am I going to bet this fight? Because with Joe Joyce, he's also a devastating body puncher. And I think Zhang, he probably hasn't seen this level of body punching in his career, the guys he's fought, right? And there's an interesting wrinkle to the DraftKings betting on this. You could bet on Joe Joyce to win by knockout plus 230. You could also bet on him to win by TKO minus 150. A lot of sportsbooks don't make that distinction, right? One-shot knockout against Zhilei Zhang, I'm not sure if I see that. But I think that was an interesting thing. I sort of looked at that and I was like, minus 150 to get a stoppage in his home country, that might be worth a little bit of something, right? And that's not something else you factor in. Like, it's not even just how's somebody going to win. It's also where is this fight? Who's going to be the officiating? And we know that Joe Joyce is the heavy favorite coming in, and it's going to be in his home. So you have to factor in, is the ref going to be a little bit jumpy in order to get this stoppage done early? So Joe Joyce, group round betting, 9 through 12, late stoppage is something that I've been thinking about doing.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to expand it a little bit more and just play it safe round 7 through 12 because that's plus 120. And I think if Joe Joyce does get the stoppage, and I do think he will, I think it'll be late. But I could also see the two heavyweights going to distance. And another thing I thought about, Shantelle, real quick. I want to see what you think about this. There is something to be said about the British heavyweight jinx because look, these guys come along and there's always these type of trap fights. Is this a trap fight? One, and then two, there's these fights that they're supposed to win. We've seen it time and time again. Lennox Lewis with Oliver McCall. David Price that happened in his career. Audley Harrison at some point.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz very much more recently. Like, it's happened to a lot of the great British heavyweights. And sometimes when I see Daniel Dubois, which it almost happened to him in his last fight against Kevin Lorena, and then he got the stoppage, which some people probably would have argued was a little early. And then you look at Joe Joyce, and it's like, man, this is another big puncher. This is a guy that a lot of people don't know about. He's coming over from Asia.
But that's the thing. He always fights from away from Asia. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't think that home boxing advantage is there, because Zhang's gonna go and he's never fighting at home anyways.
No, not against Zhang. Yeah. I'm saying for the referee. And then, like, he steps in a little early. This is going to be on, you know what I mean? Like,
but I think
boxing at the end of the day. Shit like this happens.
I think Zhang is going to, like, land some major shots on Joyce, because if Joyce leaves himself open like he did against Christian Hammer, he might hit the damn canvas. Because, like, Zhang has power in both of his hands. Like, And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna sprinkle on a couple of things as well, because I do think there's a big possibility that Joyce does get the knockout, because Zhang is 39 years old. He's dealt with a lot of health issues. And at one point, Father Time has to catch up to you. And also, Joyce right now is being put up on this pedestal to be like the guy in the heavyweight division that people want to fight. There's been talk about him fighting Tyson Fury as well, and how that could be a big matchup. So I think there's a lot riding on this fight for Joyce. And especially after that Joseph Parker fight, like, he really rose into that top 5. Like, people were talking about him a little bit more. So I think if he does, and this, I'm going to take another like crazy bet. I think if Joyce does win, it'll be group round betting in rounds 11 through 12, which is a plus 1400. Because I see this fight, like, obviously you can tell that I am high on Zhang. And I think people are sleeping on him because he is a good boxer, man. He is a good body puncher, power in both of his hands. And listen, we've never seen him be stopped before. So why wouldn't I think this would go the distance? Also, I do want to mention, I might even sprinkle on Zhang. $2.
I was gonna say.
Boom, let me sprinkle on him.
I was gonna ask you, literally about to ask you, is this a fight worth sprinkling on the underdog? Because look, last week we talked about the possibility of Brian Mendoza knocking out Sebastian Fundora. And I said, look, I would favor Fundora, and to be safe, take him on points. But I would absolutely sprinkle on, the Brian Mendoza knockout. And he ended up knocking him out despite being down in that fight. It was a great knockout.
And we both sprinkled on that because we knew how stupid it is, the way Sebastian Fundora boxes. It was bound to happen at one point.
And he doesn't really use his reach. Great kid by all accounts, but
fighting like he's Chocolatito or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing?
So Zhilei Zhang,
to
win by knockout, you could get that at plus 1200. I do think if he wins, it's going to be by knockout, right?
No, there's no way he wins by decision because they're going to give it to Joyce.
It's not happening,
right?
So, So if you're going to sprinkle on Zhang, don't bother with the money line. Do the knockout, right? A couple other sort of long shot props that I think are going to be worthwhile. We're really getting into this fight, so it's going to
be a banger, man. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. It's going to be great. Joe Joyce to get knocked down and win, intriguing to me, plus 750.
I take that.
That might be a sprinkle. Plus, it's plus 750. Throw a couple dollars on it, whatever, Zhilei Zhang to get knocked down and win, plus 1800.
See, like
you put $1 on that and you win that bet, you can buy lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But
not with the drink though.
I just think, like, when you actually, I can't wait till you go to Montreal and see how fucking expensive shit is. You're such a New Yorker. Like, everything revolves around New York. You're like, I'm Brian. I'm from New York and I'm Puerto Rican.
That's how I sound. What's this impression of me you said? I don't know. We don't have to do it right now.
We don't have to do it right now, but I was just joking with you. But things like, I mean, we live in an age right now where, we're in a recession. So everything is mad expensive. But I was going to say, these are some bets where I'm like, I do think Joyce is going to win, but I just think there's a slight chance that Zhang could get this done. And we've never seen Joyce stop before, but I also think this is his toughest competition that he's fought so far. So we have to take that into consideration too when we're betting.
Yeah. And to put a bow on this, my what I'm actually going to play is, I'm going to roll with the Joe Joyce late stoppage 9 through 12 plus 120. But there are going to be some sprinkles on Joe Joyce to get knocked down and win, plus 750. I think that's worthwhile. Zhang to get knocked down and win, plus 1800. And Zhang to win by knockout at around plus 1200. I think those are sprinkles that are all worthwhile. And even if Joe Joyce just gets the knockout, doesn't get knocked down at plus 120, if you play it right, money-wise, you'll be able to come away with a net positive.
Yeah, and of course, here at TheMandatory, we want to know how you're betting. And if you do get the victory and you get some paper, you get some lunch money, make sure to drop your slips because we want to see how you're betting. Also, follow us at TheMandatory TKO and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back with some more betting stuff next week, a big betting week.
Oh, it's gonna look. There's really one fight worth talking about next week, and we're gonna cover the shit out of it. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. So make sure to keep it locked. Thanks so much for rocking with us, and we'll be back soon.